Check. 1, 2. Check.
Oh, there we go. What's up, man?
Hey, buddy. Hey, there you are.
How's it going?
Good. I'm recording. Good. All right. Great, man. How's everything?
Man, pretty good. Cannot
Pretty
complain.
good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, great. Why not? Cool. Let's just make up some stuff. Let's talk about the Thunder. This is holiday, winter, Christmas break style seat of my pants. Just
Let's do it. Yeah, man.
Maybe talk about the Mavs and Lakers. Maybe talk about better feel good story, the Cavaliers or the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
What happened?
Gosh, the Grizzlies are just like endlessly fascinating to me.
God, they're so
this run they're on. I'm gonna do a segment on them for Slam and Jam on Saturday, just because like I just can't look away.
Yeah. If you need me to call in from my in-laws, I mean, I'm not saying I will, but I'm available.
I mean, I might need you to. What
do I need to pack my microphone? What's the
what do you think about them without Ja? I mean, like they're really fun.
This is content. Let's start.
Yeah. Let's do it. Don't do the pod for the pod.
I'm joined right now by Andrew Schlecht. Andrew, how's it going, man?
It's going great. Very great, I would say.
That's good.
A double tank win last night here in
OKC. All right. You cover the Thunder. You got Big Thunder podcast. You are one of the co-captains. You're like the vice chair of tanking. I mean,
yeah,
you
I'll take that.
Like
sure.
Like you're all for it.
Yeah.
I want to know, just before I ask you about your breakfast, were you there?
I wasn't. I had to do the Daily Ding last night.
No.
I know. Oh,
I booked the wrong guest.
You did. You should have gotten Joe Masato. There's more people you could have gotten. I was, however, at the arena yesterday to watch the Blue play the Kings.
Oh my! Wow!
Because Poku was called up to the Blue, or I guess called down. It's more of a down move than an up move.
Yeah, he was regressed to the Blue.
He regressed to the Blue.
He had Zion healing to the Blue. He backwards healing towards the Blue.
Right.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it's fun as a lunchtime, G League game. Pop into the arena.
Helps the digestion.
It's incredible.
Probably.
It was incredible.
I can't believe you weren't there. I mean,
I know.
I don't want to delve into hyperbole.
Yeah.
But it literally, I think, was the best ending in NBA history. Absent stakes. There were no stakes. Nothing was on the line. But the last two shots.
I would disagree with that.
Okay, there's a tiny little thing on the line.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is a friendly wager between two people for $1.
It felt like a lot for me.
Those were the stakes involved, because you had Shea, who gets fouled. The Pelicans are fouling on purpose. I don't know if anyone's missed it. We're talking about Thunder Pelicans, Devontae Graham, longest game winner in 25 years.
Yep.
But the Pelicans, up 3, are saying, we're not going to let the Thunder shoot a shot. We're going to foul on purpose.
Yep.
They do, in fact, foul on purpose. The referee said, we're not interested. Like we don't want to do that. Shea realizes he's getting fouled, so he tries to get the 3-shot free throw by shooting it really fast, even though we've changed the rules basically to be like, if you try to foul somebody, it's not going to be a 3-point shooting foul no matter what you do.
Right.
But he makes it from what? Is it 35 feet? How far back are we saying?
Yeah.
Maybe 33.
About
maybe,
30. Yeah. 33-ish feet. Yeah.
So Pelicans are trying to foul on purpose. Shea is trying to get a free throw because they're fouling on purpose. He's going to get shooting fouls because Pelicans have a foul to give. He makes the shot. There's no foul called whatsoever. There's bedlam in Oklahoma City with the tying shot because the people in the stands, they don't like your tanking. They're cheering for the win. And then Devontae Graham inbounds it and makes a 70-footer, and let's all go home. And then there's bedlam again, and And you missed it. You missed the
glorious.
greatest ending in NBA history to record a podcast.
To record a
For
podcast.
a podcast?
Hey, that's what I do, man. Just podcast. You know what? I actually like to think that everything went so perfectly that if I was there, it may have messed up the balance.
Oh, yeah. Butterfly effect. Yeah.
You know, if I'm there, you know, people get weird. People might get weird feelings and things change.
True. It's one thing. One extra person in the arena. Maybe it just doesn't go. This is terrible.
I'm frankly glad I wasn't there.
What do you mean? This is history.
For that reason and for that reason alone. I just don't want to upset the perfect game.
Okay.
Like I just can't. I'm not willing.
I'm
to
not.
upset
No,
it
no,
for
I'm not. I'm not going
my
that
personal
far.
selfishness.
This is not the perfect game. This was not. I had Pelicans Thunder up on one of the screens, which I consider to be an honor. It's not frequently I put the Thunder on, but I knew you were coming on, so I had the Thunder on. I watched a little Thunder, and then the moment happens, and I'm like, this is just serendipitous. I've scheduled Andrew, and the best final 2 shots in NBA history just happened, but now I find out you missed it.
Unbelievable.
What'd you have for breakfast though? Did you at least sleep? You have a good breakfast? I mean, we're talking kind of early on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I've had coffee. I'm having coffee, and we're being sponsored by this new company called Athletic.
Oh, I'm not being sponsored by it.
Athletic Greens. I don't really.
I have to bleep that out. You now made editing this podcast harder.
I assume we're sponsored by them, or they just sent me a bunch of stuff without
that's cool.
my knowledge. So I did that.
Yeah,
some greens stuff.
You literally just did an entire plug. I'm not being sponsored by this company. Never heard of them.
It might kill me. I'm
going to great lengths to make sure my listeners have never heard of them either. I'm glad you enjoyed whatever that drink is you had for breakfast. How's the tank going for the Thunder? Like, are you getting everything you need? I mean, your third worst record, which is pretty good. That's all you want to be in the ballpark, despite being frisky, despite winning some games, despite having moments of competence. You're still right where you want to be. You're just right in that, top 4 odds type thing.
Yeah. I mean, they won a top 5 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And they have 8 wins. You know, that's about where they need to be. It's been great seeing Houston win as much as they have.
Yeah.
That's been a good thing for the Thunder. But they're going to be in the mix with Detroit and Orlando probably for the rest of the way. And a lot of things will hinge on what they decide to do with a guy like Kenrich Williams. Because if you look at his plus minus and you look at his on off, he's a plus 15 on the season.
Yeah.
And is helpful. He's a plus 20 in a 3-point game last night. No, he's been very, very helpful to them. And if they found a way if they traded him for like some kind of like project big man or something like that, I mean, they would get quite a bit worse. Man.
Who are you want Moses Brown back?
No, not Moses Brown.
I mean, the Mavericks they'd send a pick to swap Moses Brown for Kenrich Williams. You'd think. I love these. I don't follow college basketball, but I do love like with Maverick struggles, and there's like these TCU players in the league who were available. Like if they wanted them, like they could have.
Your guy Desmond Bane.
Yeah. So Desmond Bane is torturing them. He is just purposefully. He's saying, I wanted to embarrass them. Desmond Bane's incredible, but then a guy like Kenrich Williams, literally anyone could have had this guy, basically at any point over the past 4 seasons.
Yeah,
like,
he was a throw-in to the Steven Adams trade.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this yesterday. Like, what would he be? Would he be like the 4th or 5th best player on the Pelicans today? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think could he have made that shot? Could Lonzo Ball have made that 70-foot shot? I don't think so. That's why you bring in a Devontae Graham.
That's why you do it.
That's why you make a move for a Devontae Graham.
So you can be 9-21. That's why you do it.
Trick shot extraordinaire. No, listen. Do you not have enough assets? Like Kenrich Williams is a good locker room guy. He's a solid player.
Yeah.
I
like.
You want to grind him up and turn him into another pick?
I honestly don't. I would like to keep him because he's a little on the older side when it comes to this Thunder team. He's 27, but I feel like by the time the Thunder want to compete, they're going to want to look for a guy just like him.
Away. When is that? I'm trying to set my calendar.
Set your calendar for
the Thunder are trying to be good.
I would target summer of 2023.
So the 23-24 season?
Yeah. That's what I would. That's where I would set.
How much money is Dort making in the summer, the season of 23-24? Because Dort's been good. Dort is
upwards.
He's actually good. He's not
18 to 20 million a year.
It feels light.
It could be. It very well could be. By that time, it could be.
If the Thunder have $100 million in salary cap space or whatever they're gonna have, and Dort's he's become no longer just flashes of brilliance and good stats in a vacuum. Now it's like I think he's portable to any situation, right? Isn't Dort maybe, as far as role players on the Thunder in the last 2 seasons, he's legit can play on anybody, right? Could start for most teams.
Yeah, I mean, he's easily the second best player on this team. And what's really changed with him this season is his finishing at the rim. So he changed quite a bit on how he does it. So he will drive to the rim. He will just go straight into the body of whoever it is. And he's done it on every shot blocker he's come across this season. He'll go into the body and then he'll go into his motion. Last season, he would kind of go into the body of somebody while in the motion and miss almost every time. And this season, he's shooting, 65% from 0 to 3 feet. So he was 56 last year. He's 65. I mean, that's been the biggest improvement for him. And then from 3, he's passable. He's shooting 33% on 7 attempts per game. So he's legitimately a good NBA player. And then his on-ball defense is top 3, top 5 in the NBA. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, I know he made the big splash in the postseason where he got a national reputation for defense for guarding James Harden. Yep. But then we see these games, he hit 7 3-pointers. And then you look at his game log and you're like, oh my God, those are only 7 threes he made in a whatever 8 game span or something. But he does seem to have stepped up. As far as the young guys you're excited about, when this team is building around, you got Giddey, I guess we're full sails ahead on Giddey. You got Shea, you got Giddey. Are we excited about anybody else? I feel like people are bailing off the Baisley. Baisley, excuse me. Darius Baisley. I never remember that one.
Yeah.
I don't have a mnemonic device to remember. I learned that it was back in the day, it was Andre Robertson because he steals. He's a robber.
Yep.
Is there a mnemonic device so I can remember that it's Baisley?
Ugh. I don't know.
He's the Bazemore of bigs.
He's the Bazemore of bigs.
Maybe that might help me.
He's basically Bazemore. Darius Baisley has had mostly a bad season. I mean, he's shooting 37% for the field.
That's what he does.
Yeah. He's become a pretty good defender, but he's not so good that you feel okay with him staying on the court. He's a passable defender. And if he could ever just hit a corner 3 with consistency, then it's okay. And then you're a role player off the bench for any other team. But as of now, he's a classic end of the bench, tons of potential guy, but he's not great. There are other 2 rookies though. Jeremiah Robinson Earl and Trey Mann have been pretty good for them this year.
Yeah.
Those are probably the other 2 bright spots.
So Robinson Earl, what I've seen, he seems like a kind of in the mold of a fungible big, like a guy you can pick up every single season. Does he show thing that makes him unique, or he's oh, this actually is maybe an irreplaceable, or an actual, this is the top 8 guy? Because I mean, there's a lot of times a big comes in and he does big-ish things rebound, block shots, play good defense, make a couple of plays, passing plays. He's solid. But then you're actually, these guys are available basically every year.
Yeah, he's different in that he can really move his feet on the perimeter, and he can move the ball.
Okay.
And he'll take and make open threes. He's got, and he doesn't put it all together, obviously, but if he can put together the shooting with the passing, he can move his feet well enough on defense. I think that he's got a shot to be your third big.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Trey Mans looks pretty solid as far as his.
Trey Man is super fun. I mean, of anybody in this class, he's probably one of the best shot creators in the class, just because he can get space whenever he wants it.
Yeah.
He can really shoot the basketball. You know, I think he's only at 37% from three so far, but I mean, he can really shoot it.
It's nothing to sneer at.
His
shooting's down league wide.
True.
So,
his step back is unbelievable. And then he's shown that he's got some hops. Something really interesting about him is that he never dunked. He was at Florida. You can probably hear my kids screaming in the background. He was at Florida for 2 years.
You're gonna have to bleep out their profanity too.
Right. Didn't dunk once at Florida.
Uh-huh.
And he's thrown down like the two best dunks of the Thunder season in the last week. And I asked him, he dunked on, I think it was Wayne Ellington last week against the Lakers.
Yeah.
And it was, you should go watch it. Like, pause the podcast, go look it up on YouTube right now. Like, it was sick. And I asked him about it. And I immediately went to YouTube, like looking it up, like furiously, like, I've never seen a Trey Man dunk in my life. Where are they? There's none. He's like, I haven't dunked like that in a game since my junior year of high school. Like, it was just weird. I was just kind of a weird one. But he threw another one down last night
the springy NBA court. What do we have happening?
I don't know. Some of it is that he's like gaining a lot of confidence, and you can see it in the way that he plays. So he's been fun, man. He's a fun player. I don't know really ultimately what he is, if he's like a microwave scorer off the bench, if he's a higher level contributor than that. Like, I don't know, but he's been at least pretty fun. So
the Thunder, not a lot was expected of them. They've had a historic loss to my Grizzlies. They've had moments where you're like, oh my God, this is an embarrassment. Does the league need to step in type thing? I wouldn't say that. I understand the goals here. But then they have picked up these wins. They looked competent at times. And then we got like the Rockets, same thing. Rockets start 1-16. The Rockets had a 7-game winning streak. It's like, and then you have like the Grizzlies, who have been missing John Morant. They won 9-10. I wonder if there's something similar about all these teams that I'm working on a theory. I'm wondering if some of these teams that at times they're like, listen, we're not in it for the short run. We have a big picture view. We're just going to play guys. We're going to let guys play. We're not going to play. I know Shea plays a lot of minutes. Most guys, it's just like, all right, you played 28 minutes, you did it. Or some guys your ankle hurts. You know what? Sit out 2 games. Next man up. We're going to give whoever it is. We're going to give Killian Tilly 18 minutes. Or you guys are like, hey, Aaron Wiggins, let's go, buddy. Like, you can play. And so I'm wondering if in this, these last 2 seasons, and maybe this is the new NBA, where you have other teams health and safety protocols, you have guys getting banged up, playing heavy minutes, people playing like, hey, we want to play heavy minutes, we want to win games. I'm wondering in the long run, if it turns out that maybe the Thunder, the Rockets, the Grizzlies are like, just having guys who know they could play every night, able to plug in, you end up picking up victories that way. I'm still like, and I think in the Thunder and Rockets case, they're like, hey, this is development. We're going to tank. But it turns out, we're actually picking up victories because all our guys are fresh and they're also ready and they have game experience.
Some of that's true with the Thunder. I mean, certainly like a guy like Mike Muscala, like, is always ready to contribute. Sure. Or not, like he's perfectly fine sitting on the bench. But when you bring him in, I mean, he is always ready to play. I mean, when he does play, he's shooting 44% from 3, which is exactly what a team like this needs. They love to get downhill. Shea, Dort, Giddey, they all are trying to get to the hoop pretty much the entire game. Shea leads the league in drives. And they have basically nobody that can shoot, outside of Kenrich Williams and Mike Muscala. Those are the only guys shooting above 40%. You take out Trey Man's 37%. The next best is Jeremiah Robinson Earl at 33. They just don't have shooting on the team. So anybody that can shoot that has any sort of gravity helps. Ty Jerome has also been really helpful to them in kind of limited spurts. He hasn't shot the ball well, but he at least has gravity. People will still yell shooter whenever he gets the ball. So that's helpful. They've also got just like some guys that just don't help at all. Like Derek Favors hasn't really helped much at all this season.
I thought it was going to be Favors goes beyond the box score. He contributes in ways you can't see in the stats because the stats are bad.
The thing that you don't see in the stat sheet for Favors is that he looks like Giant Dort. They wear the same accessories. I've seen them wearing the exact same shoes. They have the same hairstyle. They wear the same headband.
Yeah.
He is Giant Dort. That's the best thing he brings to the team.
Yeah. Have you seen, do you have much of an opinion on your fellow tankers on the stuff Şengün's been doing? I think the Thunder notably said no thanks to Şengün. Mm-hmm. You guys had numerous first-round picks last year. Could have had him a couple of times. And we're like, no, we're good. Let's kick this can down the road.
Yeah. He's super fun. I think he's been good in the role that he's had for the Rockets. There's no doubt about that. Defensively, he's a mess. I've seen him up close twice. He's an absolute mess. And it's just a hard position to build around. A center that doesn't defend is a really tough player to build around. And for a team that's like the Rockets, like fine, like he can go out there and do whatever. But Steven Silas, like I saw the look on Steven Silas's face when Şengün was in the game, and he acted so stressed out. He acted like he gave his 3-year-old like this big crystal bowl, and like it's obviously gonna break. You're gonna break something. Yeah. So
no regrets. I was curious what the Thunder company line was for passing on Şengün. So that's it. He's bad at defense. Hard to build around.
Yeah.
No, we can move on. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's all I needed from you. Outside of your Thunder, there was a huge game on Wednesday night. Lakers and Mavericks. Austin Reeves, kind of the hero. Man. Both these teams, it's weird. We're like, they're both underachieving what their fan bases expected and basically what the national NBA media expected. But because everyone else stinks in the West, like they're comfortable where they are. They basically have the entire year just to be like, hey, let's not finish like with 48 wins. Like with 48 losses. Yeah. Like I think this play-in cutoff is going to be like 34 wins or something. Because like you tell me the Kings and the Blazers are fighting it out, to see who can finish 35 and whatever 47.
It's gonna be so brutal.
But the Mavericks and the Lakers, what's your feel of like which one of those teams are you the most confident in going forward? We're like, all right, they're going to be good. They're not going to be 500 when we get to the end of the year.
Yeah, I think I would have to say the Lakers, just because they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
and like credit to Russell Westbrook, like he's the easiest guy to kill in the NBA these days.
Yeah,
but he was actually good for them last night.
He was great.
He put together a really nice performance, helped them win that game through the pass to Austin Reeves.
He did airball 3-pointer because they're just leaving him open.
He did, but he also made one in overtime.
Yeah,
in the corner.
Came back and got one. Yeah,
I mean, you got to take the good with the bad with Russ at all times. He's been helpful to them. The biggest problem is that like all their role players outside of Austin Reeves are like 38. Like you have to have somebody else that can do something that's not like on their way out of the league. I know we're not supposed to care what like the sports blogs write. Yeah.
Just in general. And I don't normally condescend with the term blog. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite things was like when the Lakers blog, after the Grizzlies beat the Lakers, they were like, we lost to a team starting Desmond Bane. And it's like,
have you not been paying attention?
You guys started Avery Bradley, who was a free agent when training camp started because no one wanted him for the minimum.
The Warriors said no.
The Warriors are like, hey, you're not worth the roster spot and the tax payment on your minimum salary. The NBA is even chipping in to pay part of your minimum salary because you've been in the league so long.
Yep.
No, thank you. Yeah, like the Lakers, you have 9 minimum guys or something. This is you're playing fantasy basketball and going into the week, you're like, I have to pick up 9 guys off my league's waiver wire to play fantasy basketball. It's hard. It's hard.
Listen, if the Lakers had Desmond Bane, there would be a blog post that says, is Desmond Bane better than Anthony Davis? That would have happened by now because
so many clicks.
They might even believe it. Because, I mean, honestly, he's performed better than Anthony Davis has if you just put them up side by side. Anthony Davis not shooting the ball well at all this year. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Desmond Bain was awesome last night too.
I mean, Desmond Bain is like, I spent a lot of effort last year on my Grizzlies podcast, Grits and Grinds, being like, man, you know what? We have some picks in the bank. We have salary cap space if we want to move some things around. I wouldn't mind, just for the added scoring punch, let's make a run at like a Gary Trent Jr. or a Norm Powell, or maybe we could free Joe Harris from the Nets. Maybe we could let's sign Evan Fournier for 2 years, because who cares? We don't need the salary cap space these 2 years. Evan Fournier in his last 6 games has basically scored what Desmond Bain averages.
I was going to say, you can have Evan Fournier now if you want him.
You could have him for free. No, on all these guys, it's like, we went from last year, Desmond Bain being like, all right, he's a spot guy. Maybe he'll be, we made the joke on this show, like maybe he'll be like prime Avery Bradley. Maybe he'll be Courtney Lee. And now it's like, oh, is he better than every other shooting? Like, is he better than Tim Hardaway Jr.? He's a guy, his shooting splits, are better than all these other players. And he's scoring 18, 19 points per game, and the Grizzlies are unstoppable.
Yeah. I think Desmond Bain would start on the Mavericks, where Tim Hardaway Jr. does not. And not that like that always matters, but I think part of it is defense, why they don't start him. They play him a ton of minutes still, but defensively it's a struggle for Tim Hardaway. So I think Desmond Bain is probably, he is definitely like the NBA smart guy of the year, probably.
What does that mean?
So NBA smart guys are the people that, like the John Hollingers and everybody that's kind of below the surface of like the Zach Lowe, agree that they're great players. And like, we had him first. Like, we talked about him first. We know how good he is whenever the average NBA fan doesn't know. Smart guy.
Yeah. I don't follow college. And I remember leading into that draft, everyone was like, hey, a late first rounder every team should get Desmond Bain. Excellent shooter, great defender, will come in, plug and play, ready to go. And so going into that draft, I'm like, I hope we get that guy, because it was the only guy I heard about. This sounded like, why would anyone draft him? And then it turns out, he's awesome. He's like, 40% on threes, 92% from the line. Yeah, he's killing it. What's the best feel-good story? Objective. I'm very biased this season. Right now, the best feel-good story going right now between my Grizzlies or my obsession, my side piece obsession, the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's the better feel good?
I think it's got to be the Cavs.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Apologies to you, but like the Grizzlies have always had like a base level of competence, that you expect from them.
We knew they were all right. Yeah.
The Cavs have not.
Yes.
The Cavs are doing things that are foreign to them at this point. And it is so much fun to see a team kind of rise from the ashes. That kind of story is great. The fact that it's with a plan that everybody laughed at too makes it even better.
Yeah, it's true.
Like that's something that I love about this Cavs team. And man, I talked about Trey Man dunks, but the dunk of the year is this dunk from Isaac Okoro last night.
It was really good.
It is it's my favorite in-game dunk that I've seen in a very, very long time.
He dunked on 3 people and then flexed and then wasn't sure who to flex at. There were so many strewn bodies. There were so many players on the ground. He's looking at the Rockets on the ground. He's like, I'm not sure which one of you I'm supposed to flex on. Like, because he dunked on 3 of them.
It was the very best dunk.
Wait, was Şengün one of them? Was he out there?
Şengün was definitely one of them. I made sure.
It's that
I
defense,
paused,
man.
Looked at him,
defense.
I said, all right.
That's why you
really
can't
glad that we got those 2 picks instead of him now, but no, they're great. Darius Garland has obviously taken a leap. Evan Mobley's been awesome. It was predictable that when Colin Sexton went down that they wouldn't miss him a whole lot. So it's interesting. That's a kind of interesting piece that they still have. Yeah. Whether they pay him or they trade him or whatever they're going to do with him, like that's like just another layer that they have, because they definitely need. As everybody does, like they need another wing.
Let's finish with this. Who's the most replaceable? Colin Sexton or Ja Morant?
You tell me, man. I am endlessly fascinated with this Grizzlies squad. And I don't know, like, what's your feeling? Are they being underestimated by teams whenever they come in without Ja?
Well,
or is it just like the teamwork is just like such a high level that like teams can't beat them? Like, what's your opinion?
Defense, despite a couple of egregious blowout defeats, the defense had, I think, been improving once Dylan Brooks returned.
Sure.
The on-off numbers when Ja's playing with Dylan and Jaren, fantastic defense in that situation as well. So maybe we'd seen some signs of it, but then Ja goes down. They play a bunch of easy teams, and the defense is obviously way, way better. But another cascading effect of Ja Morant being out is these bench lineups are now better. They make more sense. There's also, we don't want to talk about this, there's also other players who are out, namely Zaire Williams is no longer playing 19 minutes a game. Like Zaire is fun, but he's bad. He's just a bad young rookie.
He's a young
and so
rookie.
now instead of Zaire being on the court for 19 minutes a game on the second unit, you have a second unit outscoring the Blazers by 25 points in 20 minutes. Like those are Zaire's minutes. On Wednesday night, during what would have been Zaire's minutes, you had DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, and with like Dylan Brooks out there, John Contra out there murdering people. And this is a pattern of success that Grizzlies have had the last 2 seasons, where especially 2 years ago, actually, their second unit, which had some of these same guys, Melton and Kyle Anderson, like we're just killing people. And so I think there's a cascading effect of not only Ja being out, Zaire being out, where they're putting up more competitive lineups for 48 minutes of the game, and they don't have these lulls. And then there is some weird, I guess everyone understands, hey, we can't depend on Ja. We all have to play really, really hard on defense. And they're crushing teams on defense.
Yeah, they're crushing. And this is, I'm talking about them for my show on Saturday, but the last 10 games, they're the very best defense in the NBA. 96.6 defensive rating.
Yeah.
And they have mostly the same guys that they had when they had the worst defense in the NBA. They just have a couple interchangeable pieces, and it's just like, is Dylan Brooks worth this much?
You know, I was scoffing at that early in the year. That was like a common podcaster refrain. Like, will the defense be fixed by Dylan Brooks? No, you have to have the entire roster buy-in. But then maybe the answer was just yes. Maybe the answer is just
obviously yes.
Yeah, like he shuts down, or like he really harasses the other team's best player. He also, on offense, like he's causing them to score better so they can set their defense more. The team also doesn't turn the ball up. There's a lot of reasons. They don't turn the ball over. They generate so many turnovers. And you can poke holes in winning 9 out of 10 in the NBA is basically unassailable. But there's a lot of 7 of these teams had serious issues. Like the Trailblazers are on this huge losing streak. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. Trailblazers were winning going into that fourth quarter, and the Grizzlies had made 5 of 25 3-pointers. And I'm like, oh, this should end out fine for the Grizzlies because, you assume it's also that thing where they played 10 guys and they're all fresh. And despite what Lakers bloggers are mad about, they're like, how's John Conchar killing us? Like, well, John Conchar has a preternatural sense of the basketball, and he just gets the basketball. It's ridiculous. Like no one 6'5" should get that many rebounds, but he does. He just gets the ball. So that's why we're winning. Anyway, I know you got to run, Andrew. Thanks a bunch for jumping on. Look forward to the next time. Your pleasure, as always.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
That was awesome. I'll see you.
All right. Later.
Let's start.
No, I got it now.
It's now time for the last drop.
Okay,
I'm joined by our friend, Katie Heindl. Katie, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's nice to see you again.
Oh, it's good seeing you. I just wanted to check in on your Toronto Raptors. They're home safe in Canada once again this season. How's the season going? As we talk on Thursday morning, they're outside the top 10 in the East, but are the vibes good? How are the vibes on this Raptors team?
Vibes feel good. I feel like it's just like a kind of an immaculate vibes team at the moment. At least to me, excuse me, the vibes obviously vastly improved from last season. And I think to me, that's always what I wanted this season to be, like it's a rebuild season. If the vibes are good, like that's what we can all hope for. And then everything else feels like a bonus. But in terms of just like in my personal experience, being back around the team, seeing the team in person, well, probably not for like the foreseeable future, but like up to this moment, I was seeing them in person, and it was great. And spirits seem high. I mean, they're going through a couple, like injury problems, but I honestly feel like that part even feels familiar, like in terms of what the Raptors have had to go through over the past couple of seasons. But like, it's a good team. It's like a bunch of like mostly younger dudes and chiller older dudes, and these are all dudes who get along with each other.
Who's the vibes commander? Is it Fred VanVleet? Is he the champion of the vibes, making all the feel good positivity?
Yeah, I'd say it's Fred's like a vibes ballast almost, like he's a vibes balancer.
Yeah.
And then you've got like real vibes generator, like powerhouses like Scotty Barnes, you know.
Oh yeah, everyone talked about him before the draft. They were like, he can't shoot, but people just love being around him. But then it turns out he can kind of shoot too. So yeah, that guy.
Yeah, now he can shoot. So that's a bonus.
Yeah.
And Scotty's vibes are always like, Scotty's vibes sometimes remind me of my own vibes when I get too overexcited. I don't know if you saw that clip of him. It was like a couple games ago. He was coming out of the tunnel when they all run out from the back and they announced the players, and he just fucking bailed and went like flying, like tripping and tumbling and flying into like almost into the stands. And then he just like bounced back up smiling.
I haven't seen it.
I got onto court.
I got to track this down.
I'll find that and send that to you.
I like a good wipeout. I mean,
yeah,
who doesn't?
But like, that's sort of Scotty's vibe, is just like a spring-loaded vibe. And I think Fred VanVleet's there to sort of, you know, take all these vibes, disparate vibes, and then channel them and like settle guys down when they need to. But he like keeps everything level.
You call the team rebuilding. They're in a weird spot where they have a ton of very good players. And, you know, I think you have Scotty Barnes. You get fortunate or whatever to end up with him. He seems like one of the great young rookies, like him and Evan Mobley both look awesome. But then you have like OG Anunoby, who's been out with injury, but it's tracking to come back soon. Pascal Siakam, like, are we still waiting to see if those pieces all fit? Is part of the rebuild maybe thinking about, is one of those like, is Pascal Siakam in trade rumors? Like, are they rebuilding in the sense they know who their guys are going forward? Or are we still waiting to see if OG, Pascal, and Scotty Barnes can coexist together? Or are they maybe thinking, all right, this is now Scotty's team and maybe OG's team, and then we'll work from there?
I think it's kind of, I think to touch on like multiple things that you said, that like they're sort of, they have a good sense of who the guys are, but all those guys have yet to actually all play together yet this season. So there hasn't been a good sense of like what that team actually looks like, you know, because like OG Anunoby's been out for a little while. Pascal Siakam was out before that. Those two were like ships in the night. Like they never actually got to play together yet this season. Precious Achiuwa is out now. I mean, so that will still have to gel, you know, and when I think I referenced that before, like that feels like a curse that the Raptors have had for like a few seasons now, where just like poor OG Anunoby, like every season I'm like, this is this guy's year. He's going to get this clean, long runway. And then something really bad happens and he doesn't get it. So I guess I should stop cursing him also. Yeah,
that'd probably be helpful.
Yeah. But like of all the, and then you have like the folded into that, like guys like Gary Trent Jr. and Yuta Watanabe, and like players who were added toward the end of last season who never played in Toronto, who were kind of attuned to like teams like schematics, but never really like probably got all the way up to speed in Tampa. So you have to fold them into the mix too. In terms of a trade, I could, like Pascal Siakam's name is always in there. Like it's just like he's kind of like the Miles Turner situation, right? Like it's just always kind of brought up. I personally am thinking it's going to be Dragic, who's like not with the team right now anyway. Sure. I
mean, what's Dragic up to? Do we know what he's doing right now?
He's just chilling. I mean, I'll just say like if he left for actually personal family reasons, you know, like it seems like
is that the cover story?
Yeah, it seems like that's what the team was saying. Like he's got their blessing. He's back in Slovenia. Like he's it didn't seem like a sense of him just not wanting to be in Toronto. Who knows?
I didn't even know that. That's as much as I've followed the NBA. I would have guessed the wrong continent if you said, where's Goran Dragic?
I mean, I guess maybe that's a good testament to the Raptors front office. Like they keep stuff was announced, but it's not as publicized as some other front offices like make things. And then, so I mean, when I think he'll go, and then I guess the return is the question for a return to me is, does the team actually go for a big, Or do they want to really stick to this rangy sort of, close to positionless as they can get? Because I think that's where a lot of the growing pains are coming from. Granted, like you've got a lot of guys who you're asking to like go between positions traditionally, and like it was kind of sticky at first, but in the last few games it seems like they're getting much more familiar with it and like a lot more comfortable. So if you brought in a big now, are you kind of throwing all that out the window? And
it is like
sort of curious to see.
It's also like you said, I mean, we just want to see more of like OG Pascal and Scotty Barnes, where it's like you can imagine like Siakam is a small ball 5 and also Barnes is a small ball 5. If you have 2 of them, like a couple 4s, 3, like it does seem intriguing. I'm curious if any Raptors player is unrelated to the team building. If any Raptors player is texting Goran Dragic, who would be texting Goran Dragic?
I don't know. Scotty Barnes and Goran Dragic hit off like a fast friendship at the beginning of the season. And it was like the most unlikely relationship I ever would have pictured. But they were like close all the time. They talked about each other all the time. They were kind of vibing in the tunnels. They were like off to the side, like talking with each other. So if anybody, probably Scotty.
Like how much do people like Kyle Lowry left the Raptors after a long, fruitful career with Toronto? Does he still? Are these guys still texting a lot? You think? Like, Kyle?
Fred says
Fred and Kyle
calls him
good
every
buddies.
day.
You think? Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Fred says Kyle calls him more than, or calls or texts him more than he texts Kyle to talk to him, to ask advice, to give unsolicited advice. So I think Kyle and Fred are still in touch all the time. I think
that's amazing.
Like probably Pascal through that, but not them individually. But Fred has just always called like Kyle his guy. So
that's actually really good information for me to have, because specifically my wife constantly asks me questions. How frequently do NBA players text each other? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't talk to NBA players. I'm not in an NBA city. I'm not talking to these guys. Like we're watching the Jazz and she's like, hey, Rudy Gay and Mike Conley are together again. And she got real excited. She's like, you think they've been texting? I was like, I assume so. Like probably, but I don't know.
Yeah. Mike Conley strikes me as like a very like egalitarian texter, you know, like he's like tossing everybody like a laugh cry emoji. He's that guy.
Yeah.
And I think, I know Kyle and DeMar talk every day as well. There's like the friendships and those guys.
How much time is Kyle talking on the phone a day? Will we think?
Oh,
who do we ask?
Probably
how do we get that?
Not that
answer?
Much. No, I kind of feels to me like those, like my dad does this, not to be like, he reminds me of my dad, but my dad will have like multiple conversations a day with his friends, but they just kind of like gab and gossip. And then it's like, they're not long and they're not deep, but you're like checking in. I feel like Kyle's probably doing that when he's driving.
I'm imagining Kyle calling Fred VanVleet, and then he calls DeMar DeRozan, and then I'm imagining him calling Marc Gasol, and Marc Gasol is just trying to get out of the call. It's just a lot of silence.
The time zones
a lot of silence
from
from Mark
right now.
He's like, yeah.
Mark's probably like, sorry, I missed your call. I was literally sleeping. I'm 7 hours ahead.
Did you see Mark return for Zach Randolph's retirement? It was a very exciting moment in Memphis here. This is the Zach Randolph retirement ceremony. They flew Mark in under cover of night and surprised him.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I mean, I know they're like really, it was really like beautiful to me because I think there's probably a hand, like you could count on one hand the guys Marc Gasol would do that for, even if they hadn't flown him in. I feel like he probably would have done that on his own accord. Right. So yeah, that was very beautiful and extremely touching to me.
Yeah. I'm cheering. I mean, Mark is playing right now in like the second division in Spain for Basket Girona. Mm-hmm. I kind of want him to return. Mm-hmm. Like, shouldn't the Warriors be like, hey, buddy, just come soak up a few minutes here and be the vibes guy?
I think he was burned. I think he feels burned, Keith. Like,
what if they said, come, we're going to destroy the Lakers. Come be here and let's destroy the Lakers. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I guess it's not a tall order, right?
Motivates Marc Gasol in the morning.
Whatever team has like the best chance of knocking the Lakers out, but like the Lakers might just do that on their own.
Yeah, they don't need that much help. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel Marc Gasol seems to me like a very stoic man and very proud man who, like, when he makes that decision, he's probably not going to go back on it. Yeah,
I guess you're right. I just feel like he'd be fun on the Warriors. I'm just cheering for Mark. I feel sad. I mean, I know he was technically on the Grizzlies roster for 24 hours this summer, but still, I thought I was going to cheer for Marc Gasol more in my life, and no, it was taken from me. Well, anyway, Katie, thanks for checking in on the vibes and giving me an update on your Raptors. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Hey, happy to check in on vibes whenever you'll have me, Keith.
We will definitely have you back on. Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye, buddy.
Hey, thanks so much. That was perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Actually,
do you need audio?
Yeah, it did a few little Skype blurps every now and then. Or
okay.
I'll send you my email to Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can just email me your file, that'd be awesome.
Sweet. I'll do that right now.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay.
All right,
bye.
see ya.